Alright, guys, I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to you all. Today is the day 40 of recording the daily video for next 75 days. And welcome back to my channel. And without wasting any time, let us just start our today's video. Today, we'll talk about India's strategy in counter insurgency. What are the counter strategy of India for both domestic and as well as the cross border terrorism? All right, so without wasting any time, let's just start out today's video. Let us make this real quick. So firstly, the India's counter terrorism strategy is multi-layered, addressing the both domestic and as well as cross-border terrorism. While in domestic there are multiple layers of problems like internal insurgency of the own people, right, especially in the area of Naxalites, right, and next is radicalization, right. All these things comes under the internal security. And we also have organized crime linkages, right, with the outsiders. Again, it falls under the purview of the internal security. And in cross-border terrorism, we primarily entertain a lot of, sort of radical terrorism from the country like Pakistan, right? And as a result, what happens, right? We must take a precaution. Rather, we must have counter strategy to protect and safeguard the very liberty and the liberty of individual, that is right to life, right, and also the very sovereignty of our country, right. So firstly, let us break down and understand the domestic counter terrorism. What are the strategies that India has taken? In the area of legal frameworks, we have Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, that is UAPA, that was in the back in the year 1967, all right, and it empowers the state to ban any organization and prosecute the individual for the terror related activities. If there's any suspect, right, and if he or she uh, gets in a derogatory stance in the eyes of law, right, then he or she might be prosecuted anytime. So that is the very fundamental thing that this act offers. It is not just confined to individual but also to the organization at large. If any sort of organization is found doing unethical things which might hamper the country's sovereignty and the basic freedom of the people, right, then this act gets into action, right. That's the it's the And the second legal frameworks is we have NIA, right, and for that matter we have a number of agencies that's working, right. Not they don't work openly, yet behind the scenes, right, we have IB, Intelligence Bureau, right. All of this organization which comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs, right, they mainly have a huge contribution in some covert operation busting the attacks, right. So that's there. We might think it as a very easy, right, easy game, but things are quite different when you look from a different spectrum, right? A lot of spies are there of, you know, IB, and all sort of related organization, right? And this act, specifically National Investigation Agency, was passed in the year 2008, and it establishes National Investigation Agency as the central agency for the investigation of terror, terrorism, and such cases related to it, right? And next is institutional mechanism in order to counter this terrorism is multi-agency center, that is MSC, and it coordinates the intelligence sharing among the agencies that I've mentioned, like IB and for that matter, even RAW, right, and NIA. So this is the multi-agency center where everything gets coordinated at once. All right, that's there. And another institutional mechanism is Indian Cyber Crime Coordinate Center. All right, and it tackles mainly, as the word cyber reflects, the online radicalization that we see right through social media, right. We have seen a lot of cases like that, right, where they radicalize a citizen through mobile, right, offering them, a lot of money, right, or for that matter, mainly a religion. Religion is the main factor out here, right. They brainwash, right, and at the end of the day, as a result, they radicalize the youth, specifically in the states of Jammu Kashmir, right? We can see it a lot, right? That's there. And that was all, institutional mechanism. And moving forward, we have operational measures. See, in operational measures, we have strengthened the state police, right? We have modernized it a lot. And we also have, in military terms, we called it rapid, क्या म्हणतात त्याला? QRT, quick reaction team, ठीक है? And that kind of team, है ना, quick reaction team, or we also have rapid response units, right, where they are very advanced and they are always ready for the, for the worst, right. So this sort of units are mainly trained for battle readiness, right. And if there's in a sort of insurgency, right, then they can counter it, right, and they will neutralize the terrorist. So that's there. And next is we have adopted a lot of use of technology, right? From surveillance, from borders to the the areas, the prone areas where there's a high chance of terrorists getting, you know, where there's high chance of infiltration, right? And in those kind of things, we have a lot of sensor, right? And now, as of now in 2006, right, we also have AI-driven monitoring system. So all of these things contributes a lot to the counter strategy, of India in you tackling the terrorism, both domestic and as well as for the cross-border terrorism. That's there. And the socio-political measures taken by India is promoting communal harmony and de-radicalizing programs, right? Mainly in terms of religion, right? That's there. And next is the development initiative in insurgency-prone areas, as I've said earlier, to reduce the recruitment of pools, right? What do the terrorist, what is the main, the ideology of terrorist is they recruit you more young people, right? Mainly the tender age people who specifically don't know, right, where to go in life. And in times of unemployment in India, right, they would always go with the shortcut, right. So that's their guys. When they offer a lot of money, right, most people tend to get influence, right. And oh yeah, so all those kind of things, right. And the government, what they have done is a lot of, developmental initiative program to such people or the prone areas where there is high chances of, having such things, right. That's there. And now let us jump into cross-border terrorism and what are the strategies. Okay. First is military and security measures. Counter infiltration grid, specifically in Jammu and Kashmir, with fencing, sensors, and patrols, continuous patrols, right? And second is surgical strike, prominent surgical strike in 2016, right? And also, how can I forget the Balakot air strike in the year 2019? It demonstrate the proactive military response of our country, right? So those are the, counter cross-border strategy, countering cross-border terrorism. And Lastly, strengthening the border infrastructure in porous terrain, right, like Pir Panjal range and in area of Punj, Jammu and Kashmir. So that's there. And the next diplomatic and political measures are internationally isolating Pakistan by highlighting its role in sponsoring open terrorism and leveraging the platforms like the United Nations and free action uh, free action talks, or what do we call it there? Talks phase to pressure Pakistan. All right, and next is intelligence and technology, satellite monitoring, AI driven, AI driven monitoring. We have drones, right, and a lot of electronic surveillance, right, where everything works with this, sensor, right. So one can easily detect infiltration of any sort of, even we can detect movement of animals, right, any living object, right, that gets through border, right. So in terms of intelligence and technology, right, our country is doing pretty good, and this things helps in countering the cross-border terrorism, right. So that's there. Now, yeah. Now, lastly, we have doctrinal approach, right, where we maintain deterrence under the nuclear shadow, right, where we balance both a lot of, although we follow, no first use policy, yet we have got escalation with restraint, right, and although it acts as a great weapon for India, right, nuclear weapon, or else the you know things won't take much time, right. We can see president getting kidnapped, right, in Venezuela, just because they didn't possess any nuclear weapon, right. So all those kind of things, it does act as a great, weapon for one country. That's there, guys. Now, what are the key challenges of this counter strategy? Is first is first we'll talk in the domain of domestic. It's very hard to balance civil rights with the security laws, and although I will not elaborate because I'm running out of time, and yeah, we are balancing civil liberties with the security laws. It's very difficult for the security forces, right? And now, when I talk about the cross-border terrorism, we have got a huge problem in managing escalation with Pakistan, right? Because plugging infiltration gaps in hard, difficult terrains is even now, you know, quite difficult with all those technologies and all, right? And yeah, guys, that's there for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've been till the end, I really appreciate your attention span. May God bless all of you and all your efforts. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.